and welcome to the 10-minute feature. I am your host, Barbara Walters. Today, we have Nkosi Nkululeko with us. Let us read his beautiful bio. A 2017 Poets House and 2018 Saltonstall Foundation of the Arts Fellow. Is a winner of Michigan Quarterly Review's Page Davidson Clayton Prize for Emerging Poets 2018 and can be found in Callaloo, the offing Ploughshares. Nkosi is anthologized in the Best American Poetry 2018 and Furious Flower, Seeding the Future of African American Poetry. It's Nkosi Nkululeko.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you on this lovely evening. Let me just open up my screen. All right, so I'm very excited for, actually, hold on. Let me, it was funny in other rooms, so I was like hearing myself in another room, and I was like, hold up, how's this? So, all right. So yeah, I only have 10 minutes, so I'm gonna kind of like get into it. These are some newer poems of mine that I'm kind of like, or some a little bit older, but most of them new that I'm excited to share, and they're a little bit visual. So actually, before I start, so I'm just gonna say that I have a series of poems called 64 Dimensions, um, in which I am utilizing a form that I created called the Kaisa, who's the goddess of chess. I'm interested in chess. Also, that's the main topic. But anyway, so Kaisa, goddess of chess, and so this form is like 8 lines down, 8 syllables across, and there are a couple of variations um, along those lines. Along those lines. All right, so here we go. 64 dimensions. E4. They claim it began with Adam, some sentient man born haunted by inner systems, the design of blood, bone, arranged to perish. The mind made into doors ajar for ghosts, shamans, bewilderment. I survive to mean resisting power is something of a curse. E5, excuse me. The roads beneath us were for slaves, I'm told, a blackness permitted to space without geography. If not this America, flee into other ones below it. I'd say murder whiteness, but yet I'm afraid of what death does now. It's simple access to regret. The first sort of visual-esque poem that I'm gonna go into is called The Area of a Parallelogram, which is also kind of like on a form that I made. I mean, well, I guess this is not really that visual, but the only way is just the slanted motion of it, obviously. And also that I have like some rhyme schemes that's happening. The only main thing that I want people to know is not necessary to know, but that I want people to know is that it rhymes on both the right side and the left side. The first, third, fifth, seventh, as well as the sixth and the eighth are rhyming, and the second, fourth, sixth, eighth are rhyming as well on the left side. So here we go. The area of a parallelogram. The older I get, the more efficient I become in being unaccounted for. What's the area of that reckoning? My head's parallel to a screen's tilted angle, benign announcement of static. A victim flickers italicized beneath sums of the body, somebody lilting to minus signs in the area of a street with contents of a begging. My area's vacancy colors its hunger with silence, lines. The older I get, the more efficient I am in begging. My identity, once unaccounted for, is based in removal. Areas of removal multiplies the base of a democracy. I was hardly American until 21, had to plead for suitable hysterias, and a number to record the area of my presence. An area may equal a suffering, but why not a property? Body bags depict only the end of the area of a suffering, but owning an area doesn't equate to areas of serenity. Oddly, the older I get, the more I account for suffering. So I'm more efficient in invisibility, counting mirrors. Democracy denies the area of what's removed from my nation. I shift shapes, remaining to find them nearer to hypocrisy, to violence. The length of a state shapes the length of a stab. My mother removed me from sight, no documents to identify the proof of my identity. The space in my mouth fills with the space in my mouth fills with political equations, right angles, corners, so many unaccounted identities, so many unaccounted identities. I'm older now and can't become a simple being. I compare the contents of a wailing with the contents of a wanting, both equal to wintering. I compromise healthcare to resist visibility, lest my mother be inserted in areas of a cell. The nucleus of my problem reminds me of a country in denial of boxes. The sum of a president doesn't equal vision, just a solemn decline of reflections. Our traditions are the sum of bad math. Recently, I was counted in the census, forgot I was born in areas not monitored by them. There is no evidence of the area I inhabited. Me, the black dot, unverified, what the area could not permit. I lived without their knowledge of my living. Yes, I've ascended myself holding my papered evidence as a citizen. Their system knows I exist in an area taxed, taught to the shadow self, folding in a nation more efficient in its racial systems. The older I get, the more efficient I become in being intolerant. My phone's a double-sided eye. My eyes, the sum of a one-sided suffering. The area of grieving is dominant to areas for groveling. Both are a bowing to the absence in an area. In a mirror, I'm dressed as that whom vanishes me. I can't leave or be removed now that I'm defaced. But the older I get, my flesh vacuums back the angels of identities once removed. Thanks. Thomas, how's like time? Do I have like good for one more?
Yeah, you
Or
got time for one more, two more? if you'd
okay,
like.
cool. So I can finish the set that I didn't want to run over time. Thank you for this 10-minute slide. It's a nice like rush into experience and livelihood. Let's see. The last one. All right, so I have to stop share and then I have to share. So I have a poem called The Slav Trade, and um it does look a certain way on the page. I'll share just like, having like, some chess images in here and stuff like that. But what I am gonna share is something different just for presentation purposes, is that I have a chess engine called Komodo, which allows me to analyze my games using the computer or play the computer, or go through a whole bunch of archives of other people's games, I guess, and study them and stuff like that. So I ended up making the poem. I wanted to type in the poem into the part where the analysis usually goes, just to, it was cool for presentation. And so yeah, here we go. So the only thing that you need to know, because I do have in my other poem, actually I can read it. I just won't move this screen share again. I'm just gonna keep it right there. All right, so although the Slav defense, a chess opening, was introduced to opening theory in the 16th century, it was popularized by players of Slavic descent in the early 20th century. The notated game below is between Alexander Aliekin, the fourth world champion, and Max Euwe, the fifth. during their World Championship match in 1935. The Slav Trade. So d4, d5, pawn c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6. Chess is supposedly a drawn game with perfect play, but so much depends on how we survive when one of our own is murdered. Knight c3, d takes c4, a4, bishop f5, knight e5, knight b d7. The point is, white in this narrative has deep knowledge for sacrifice. But if I knew that, maybe I wouldn't have played the game at all. On the c4 square, a black pawn ignites. Knight takes c4, queen c7, g3, e5, d takes c5, knight takes c5, bishop f4, knight f d7, bishop g2, bishop e6, knight takes e5, knight takes c5. Light to water. Flashes of floating limbs, storm flung, burrowed through sky openings. Castles, bishop e7, queen c2, rook d8, rook fd1, castles. Defense is not a weakness, and yet they mock us for it. In defense of, they lower our bodies in boxes prettied with ivory, buried in the earth. None of it makes sense, but the game unfolds like many folds of many folds. Knight b5, rook takes d1, rook takes d1, queen a5, knight d4, bishop c8, b4, queen c7. There's Slav ships with sequences of illuminated heads, linked in rows and files like pawn chains. Before the breaking, b5, c5, knight f5, f6, each square is the color of bruises. Water is water. What her beauty accepts cannot return. The black knight in the middle of the board hangs like a Slav on a tree of analysis. Knight e3, bishop e6, bishop d5, bishop takes d5. According to current calculations, we tilt between falling and being felled. So much depends upon, so much depends upon, so much depends upon rings like familiar burdens. My history's standard grief. Tell me why. Rook takes d7, queen a5, knight f5, queen e1 check, king g2, bishop d8, bishop takes c5, f takes c5. When I bleed, it smells like salt water. Rook d7, bishop f6, knight h6. It's not that we want to lose by drowning. King h8. It's not that we want to lose by drowning in variations. It's just sometimes chess only teaches us how to do it exceptionally well. Do it so it feels like hell. King h8. But if my hell could be my own to make, come closer. Queen takes c5. Let me share all its ugly with you. And the final two very short poems for the Kaisa is these two. So one is sort of like part of a Ode to the Knights sequence series, and another one is just a one-off. Creature of law modulation, box spatial reality bent, confuses my own formal sense of order, italicizing motion like myths. Your Pegasus, bound to us who manipulate your examination of squares. What can you teach on being tamed? And the final one. In this life's endgame, I strive most for knowledge often forbidden. Ghastly truths revealed enough times to never wish to be content, but to instead wish for content. My dreams theorize now. I open Pandora's black box, spilling light. There, bright as a mind resigning. Thanks, y'all.
Let's hear it for Nkosi Nkululeko. Wow. Oh my God. That chess
Appreciate
poem
the
was
time.
insane. Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
invitation. It was
No
fun.
worries. I want to thank everyone out there. Just a couple of commercials. Next Wednesday, we have Noel Quinones. So if you're interested, please come to that for the next 10-minute feature. And then on December 5th, we have Ed Sanders and why can't I think of his name? I'm drawing a blank. David, help me.
John
There
Sinclair.
we go. And John Sinclair. I totally forgot his name because I suck. And we are still currently accepting poetry and prose submissions. So go to greatweatherformedia.com. That's it for the commercials. And Nkosi, do you want to leave us with a final thought? Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, let your voice be heard, but also play some chess. And watch the current show Queen's Gambit if it gets you into chess, and like play games and play with each other. Yeah.
All right, play chess, play games, and play with each other. Thank you so much. We'll leave it on that note. Again, thank you, Nkosi. Thank you all for being here. Have a great and safe Wednesday. And we are done.